I have so much to say that it's going to be hard to maybe get it all done without this being 30 minutes long. And I promise not to make it 30 minutes long. But I've been trying to find some solitude and a quiet spot for a little while now, and it's almost impossible because there's so much activity going on around me. My work has me extremely busy from the moment I leave the house to the moment I return home. And then when I get home, there are phone calls and other things I have to take care of. And it's kind of interesting that I get asked similar questions from several different people all day, every day, the same ones. How are you doing today? What's going on today? And it's not their fault because they don't get a snapshot of my day. Most people are asking that question probably haven't been in the same space with me for, well over a month, if even that. And with what's been going on, my life has been changing exponentially almost every day. So, miss a day, miss a week, you've missed what would probably be in real time 6 months. I'm probably not going to be able to catch you up truly on what's really happening. And that's probably a small taste of what most people who are even busier than me feel on a daily basis. To try and tell someone who's kind of standing still what your day is like, it's difficult because some people are just trying to get up in the morning. They're just trying to wake up. They're just trying to start their day. And if that's their greatest challenge, you don't have a lot in common with them if you're a busy person working and making plans for your future. What's the difference between that person who is lethargic and considering a lot of changes but basically doing none of them versus someone who can't find enough time in the day to do everything that they hope to do? I think the difference between those two people, if the truth be told, is just the mindset. Your mindset is determining your quality of life. It is exactly the reason you have the life you have. It is not about faith, because a lot of people, the moment you say mindset, they start thinking you're meaning something religious, or they think you're meaning something esoteric. No, it's a very practical, step-by-step thing that you must do in order to be in a different place beyond where you were the day before. Everyone wants it to be mystical and spiritual and sort of just out of reach, so you can feel good about yourself being awake when everyone else is asleep and all of that. But I'm so over that. If your awakening is just about making someone else feel badly because they're still asleep, I think your awakening is probably more based on ego than anything else. I wake up in the morning and I know one thing is going to happen consistently all day long. I'm going to ask to be of service to someone. I'm not going to be able to get away from that. Whether it's taking someone to the store, or helping them cash their checks, or loaning them money for gas, or listening to their story, whatever it is, for me it's all the same thing. It's being of service to another because they are going through something and they need a listening ear or a helping hand. I don't know if you can get too far in this life by hoarding and trying to hold on to the majority of the pie for yourself. If money is currency and currency has to flow, if it's not out there working for you, I think what you're holding on to can start to work against you. And it will look like something's wrong, but what would really be wrong is that you are stagnant. You have created a dam inside of yourself, and no one can get to you, and certainly nothing can get out of you. Now, I meet people also who have great intentions, the things that they're going to do one day, and some of them are incredible ideas. But a week will pass, 2 weeks will pass, things will happen, and they won't have started at all on any of the things that they know they're talented enough to do. It's a mindset. It's how you see yourself, not just in this world, but interacting in this world. I have been guilty, and I'll tell you this as a bit of a confession, of needing a particular foundation before I would do the next thing. And when that foundation wasn't perfect, I wouldn't even get started. I used to wouldn't even leave the house back when I lived in Philly and New York if my clothes weren't just perfect. If at that time my foundation wasn't just perfectly in place. I was doing that before it was in vogue to do that. Now I could care less. It's funny how your priorities change the older you get, because so many of the things that we do are really not done for ourselves. We do them for the interest and the applause and the motivation of others. We are trying to get a reaction everywhere we go. We want people to see us or notice us. And I'm just the opposite now. I'm trying to stay in the shadows as much as possible. But the work I do and the things I do kind of bring me center stage. So I'm center stage at times, but not for my own ego, but because that's the place I get to see who I need to help next. If I'm standing over in the shadows, it's kind of hard for me to locate who's really in need, who's really the one that I need to talk to today. I wish sometimes the ones that I talk to understood the sacrifice it is for me to do it, because I make it look easy and certainly effortless. But I go through a lot of challenges to do that thing that I do. For instance, this vlog or this podcast, depending on how you're listening to it. I was trying to record this for maybe the last 30 minutes. The neighbors' dogs were in the yard. They wanted to play. They were energetic. They were barking. There was no way I could get started. And I wanted to just give up and say, well, you know what? This is one of those that is just not meant for me to do. So why am I bothering trying to do it? Let me just put it aside. And every day that I do that, that's a day I don't put a new vlog out there. And it ends up being a day that someone probably came to my pages looking for something new, and there was nothing there. So there's a point where you can be selfish with your time, selfish with your schedule, selfish with the way you think things have to be done before you are able to be your best self to someone else. And you're wasting daylight. Just to put it bluntly, it is hardest to be selfless when you feel you have no time. But there comes a point where you have to be selfless, because what you need for your next level is informing yourself of what you can only get when you give. When you make yourself available to the point of exhaustion sometimes. Only then do you get the revelation of what's next for you. It's just like hoarding money and calling yourself, calling it savings for a rainy day. Once you have all of that in place, you have to ask yourself, and now what was I going to do with this once I saved it? Because I bet you your reasons for starting the savings might be different at the end when it's time to share it. I am going to get back to mindset in the days to come. I want to approach it from a lot of different angles. But this is an okay introduction. And for those who can't see but are listening to this on a podcast, just hear me say this. You can't see my face or my expressions when I say it, but you have to wake up in the morning with the ability and the willingness to let the day be what it's supposed to be and address it for what it is, not for what you wish it was. The beginning of having a healthy mindset is, this is the only day I'm guaranteed. This is the day I have. I can't make other people wait for me anymore, because it's a hubris on my part to believe I have more time being given to me in the future. I am an adamant believer that you have to tell people what you really, really, really need to say to them at the moment it's fresh in your mind. If you wait a day, 2 days, a week, a month, and then you try to present this thing as something fresh and something new and novel, they might not be able to receive it because it's not relevant anymore. It was relevant in the moment that you got the revelation and chose not to share it. So for all those delays that I've imposed on you in not coming forward and giving you whatever my thoughts were on that day, as I promised to do, I apologize. But I'm telling you right now, the thing that I believe that we will be talking about for the rest of this calendar year, 2018, we're going to be talking about mindset. I think you're going to hear it from a lot of different sources and a lot of different places, and we all are hearing the same thing collectively. You can do the thing you're most afraid of, but you got to get started now, not later, and you got to share it with someone now, not later. And it all has to do with your own mindset, not your finances, not your lack of relationship or waiting to be free of a relationship, whatever the case may be. It begins and ends right where every other creative thought begins and ends. Right here, in your mind, behind those beautiful eyes, something is brewing. Let it out. I'm Brother Douglas. Thank you for listening to Unfiltered Eden. I will be back sooner than later. Promise.